Okay, we're live. The internet just went down 1541, but it's all about the numbers and it's all about being present in the moment, of which we very much are. And 41 is the mirror of 14, which is the number of the temperance card in the tarot, which is the number of Sagittarius. And it's a Sagittarius moon today, so alignment's perfect. I'm just noticing our teeth are a bit green, and they'll continue to be because we're drinking our homemade mouthwash, which is chlorophyll, colloidal silver, colloidal gold, colloidal copper, and moon water. So we're just coming on today. We're going to attempt to keep this as short as possible, please, all my little uns. And the new clarity and the new awareness, how do we phrase this? Because it's stuff that happens in the head and we're not good at getting it out. Tito pomo. So the domesticated, conditioned, programmed adult us from society and role models and parents and teachers in our life, even people like, you know, when we do the YouTube talent challenges and everything, stuff's meant to be done in a certain way for the viewer. But we're not doing this primarily for the viewer. We've spent our whole life doing stuff, putting other people first. And this is us learning to put ourselves first. It's us finding the only modality that can access all of us so that we can all become co-conscious, while letting others jump on our energetic train if they wish to, because the most important thing we're doing is putting the information, is the intentioned thing that we've been doing, is putting the information out through the electromagnetic fields from the purest, deepest of our heart being that we're able to go to, so that the other can receive that information through their electromagnetic fields and then have the internal subjective reality experience or the external object reality experience through nature or themselves or other people, just whatever situation or circumstances that best speaks to them. And that's including all of us that's watching it as well. So it's the words that are the least important for us, because it's the words that we find hardest, and it's the words that we know we get wrong, and therefore it's the words that cause misinformation, misunderstanding. They get confused, they get misunderstood. So this is us learning to be impeccable with our words and learning our words. It's also us learning how to strategize, how to prepare, how to put the information across, because we started the information for the series 2 on the feet, which we're going to be going live tonight with the first unit. So we've done episode 1 introduction, episode 1 bonus introduction, and then a little short one saying that we couldn't go on when we were meant to go on Tuesday with Scorpio because it's inappropriate. And our younger ones know best. If we're not meant to do something, we physically cannot do it in our body. The younger alters are out, they're our body. The body's networks, the body's muscles are really weak, and we can't even talk or do anything. But we understand now why, because it was meant to be today under the Sagittarius energies, which rules the thighs and the hips. And we were meant to do a brief bit of this first on the source energy. So it's ISES, source, what is it? See, we can't even remember because we're not in the ones that have done it, and we've done preparation. So this is the course that starts in June after the summer solstice, when the energies are going down. So the one that was started tonight, series 2 on the feet, goes through the consistent interval. So if you want to do music, you have to keep one interval the same. So with our Fibonacci tuning forks, we have to keep 1/1 the same with each one. That's what they recommend, to keep a set interval. So we're keeping this Sun Pisces as the set interval for the external body, the pivot point, the anchor point, as we go through all of the moon astrological signs through the month, which will work then through each of the body parts. the internal body parts, because the moon is the internal, the receptive, the subjective, while we keep the external feet anchored with the sun Pisces energies. And this is what's preparing us for this course, series 1, and this is why the energies are rising. So we're rising, we want to create that internal lift that one gets from yoga, that's reversed to gravity. So as the energetics of the sun and the daylight hours are getting longer, the energetics are rising, and we're going to gain that internal lift, jumping on the seasons and the sun's rising energetics, keeping us grounded in our feet. And that's why we've got this red on our head, because as the energy rises, or any energy comes in or down or around or whatever, it stays inside. And this is our younger ones that do this. We've just learned to witness our younger ones enough now over the last 5 and a bit years to understand what's going on, because the language of the subconscious, the language of the superconscious, which is what we're mainly stuck in at the moment and we're navigating our ways out of. No, we're not navigating our ways out of, and we're not stuck in it. That's not appropriate language, we realise in this moment. We've gone from being majorly stuck, majorly dancing in the conscious mind our whole life, until we become reactive, and then we go into our super or subconscious, and we understand that everything we've done in our whole life is meant to have happened, but it's only when things get detrimental because of the extremism of things. But we're bringing that extreme spectrum into a resonant spectrum so that we can all become co-conscious. And this is under the language of energy, because if everything is energy, everything is frequency. So the alters, if they're all energies and certain frequencies, we need to be in this certain spectrum of resonance, to become co-conscious, to become balanced. So we're lessening that spectrum and lessening the oscillation. And we've been dancing in the conscious mind our whole life, keeping on control of everything, not letting ourselves, this is subconscious patterning and programming, and we weren't aware of at the time, but not letting ourselves be seen or heard by anyone else because we couldn't, because of the ID, because of the PTSD, etc. But because we've been doing self-awareness and self-development for so many decades, and because we've been doing it in the mental body, the heart body, the physical body, with our yoga, with everything, the energetic body, the experiential body with our van and moving around and our traveling around the world, there's so many layers that came together that this was the final layer being the crown chakra and the root chakra together to bring it into one whole balanced, oscillating, small spectrum area, so that we can all learn to communicate with each other, because we can't communicate with each other inside because of the deaf, dumb, blind and dumb processing model. But the deaf, blind and dumb just relates to auditory, vocal and sight. If you compare it to the external reality, you have 5 physical senses, the 3 we just talked about, but you also have taste and smell. So what did we just do? Oh, we did speak. So that's interesting. So we using using the mouth sense, you've got speaking, sound. Okay, so we're deaf, blind and dumb in the fact of using language and speech, but in taste and sound, there's the alters in us that are very sonic and function on sound and function on smell and are very tactile. So with PTSD and with just general life and certain things, to cope with life, the nervous system gets cut off in certain areas. And when one is autistic, the nervous system really gets cut off in certain areas, because of the extreme stimulation that people with autism experience, hence overload and sensory stimulation. Now, so from what we're learning, when we're overstimulated in the high end functioning of the autistic spectrum, we're more in our mind than our body. We're experiencing our body, we're experiencing the wind's too much, so the wind hits the body and we're experiencing that, but we're more in the mind, the external mind or the external body or something. But we've experienced also being completely locked inside, where everything on the external body gets cut off. The external body is the connecting, the bridge between the external collective agreement reality and our internal. So we're doing these and we're uncomfortable with letting our little ones be seen. But half the thing is that we need to let our little ones be seen, because that's what helps them grow up. and we need to be authentically as we are in each moment, because we need to get dressed, like we've just come out of the bath. And when we're in the bath and we do meditation, we go into deep states of present. And when we go into those deep states of presence, we end up going into the youngest, deeper alternate personalities. And so this is us growing them up in all the processes and doing everything that we've just said. And so with that, gaining that internal lift with the energies that's going on at the moment, and the Pisces course that's going to start tonight live, still don't know the time, that will carry us through to the start of April. It's because these energetics are very challenging, but we've just had our 42nd birthday mid-February, so we're on the start of our solar cycle battery. And it's called it's going to be probably on our ShintoSEYE channel, but again, we don't know this course. And it's the ShintoSEYE YouTube Interactive Source Energy Series. But we're doing the preparation, everything on this channel, because it's about going inwards before we go outwards. And this doesn't start till June the 22nd. But it's only once a month rather than every moon astrological cycle. It's once a month on the 4th quarter of the moon. So it's when the daylight hours are going down, and it's when the full moon, and it's when the moonlight hours are going down, because a lot of people focus on the full moon and the new moon and the energies are intense. But for us, we can't do anything around that time. We just need to navigate ourselves with whatever we're going through. But actually the first quarter, and between the new moon and the full moon, so I'm not sure, I think that's the 2nd quarter and the 4th quarter actually, that cusp is when it starts getting more challenging for people, because the energies are subtler. We have to find more willpower, we have to find more drive, more determination. So that's actually a time that's more challenging, because everything's more subtle, more gentle, when things can just slip on by without noticing. So that's why we're focusing on those energetics, and it's once a month in alignment with the moon. So yeah, we're understanding that we have to just allow whatever happens in the moment, like this, because this is us growing up. And Tito Pomo, and I know no Paita. And I'll let them come first and they decide. So we're just now picking up the rose quartz that our sister brought back for us, and a sacred geometry shape that we've just done. We did with our magnets the other day. I thought we were going to put them down our top, but we're not. We're going to hold that one, are we? So she was here yesterday, which was amazing, because she was here with her baby Joe. And it was really good for us, because it taught us physical first-hand experience of the subtle, and we could experience the subtle energetic physical body of the baby and the mother energies, which are the ones that we're nurturing. And when we got these, we picked these the other day, the little ones did, but they didn't go in the vase, they was outside. But she brought us these, and we went out and got them then. So, and we were so grateful to baby Joe, because he's helped us with so much on energetics wise, because we saw her when she was pregnant with him. We only get to see her twice a year, I think it is. And we've gone like that. That's in the last few years. So yeah, we're going to read through. This one's in orange and brown. We're not going to read through it all, but we are going to read through this again, because to access the ones of us that can only access this information by watching these. And then as we read it out loud in this context, because we've already read it out loud on our own, we've already read it out loud in an audio diary. So this is a third context of us reading it out loud, which is all different altars. And then there's other altars that listen as it goes back in, the constructive feedback loop of information out and in of the senses in this case. And then that will carry on to go in and out of the senses. Sometimes we've just done our constructive feedback loop of in and out of the senses, out and in the senses. And we'll leave the links for that at the end, which was to Matias de Stefano, who says a lot of stuff that we never agree with anyone fully, because we're always in different altars, and we have a very different personal experience to things because of our rareness. And so there's things that overlap, and there's things we can understand or feel we understand, but then there's things that we would be like, well, no, it's completely different for us. But then, we're in a female body, he's in a male body. He was brought up, I think, in South America. We were brought up here in southwest of the UK. So, all of these things add to different perspectives, just like in the Western world, nodding your head is yes and shaking your head is no. Well, not in the Western world, but in like America and here and Australia, etc. But in Turkey, nodding your head is no and shaking your head is yes. And then in India, it's just like, woo. So there's always that. So there's no that the duality reality again. There's no right or wrong. It just depends on the perspective and the angle that one looks at it from, experiences it from, literally down to not just peripheral nervous system and looking at the angle, but also down to what angle and perspective one is on the earth. Like if one lives on the equator, there's two times throughout the year where there's actually no shadows cast whatsoever due to the way the sun being directly vertical above the ground, above the object, therefore it creates no shadow. Whereas if you're on the north coast, not the north coast, like Norway, there's a period of time in the winter where you don't get any sunlight, I think, at the very, very north. And I think there's a period of time in the summer where you don't get any nighttime. So there's the extremism. So this course that we're talking about now is the ShintoSEYE. Obviously, we can't even still. ShintoSEYE YouTube interactive source energy series, of which there's 4 months. So once a month, 4 times, we do our own. Let's go back to February. Our own personal source energy clarity of the language. So our own personal clarity of the language of source energy. I mean, down to this calendar, in the month of February, it's got polar bears in, and on the front, it's a tiger in water. It's the Chinese New Year of the water tiger. And when we were in Psych Ward in February 2020, which is a 2 vibration again, it was polar bears was very symbolic because they were on the container unit in the window that we used to spend a lot of time looking out of. And it was the Leo full moon when we were in there, and we're dancing between the energies of the Leo full moon and the Pisces new moon. So we're not going to read this yet because all this is going to be really quite basic, because things will evolve as they evolve, because it's about being intuitive in the moment, hence the energies in the moment made us start at 1541, because 14 actually is the foundation of 15 from one perspective, but if you're upside down, 16 is the foundation of 15 from one perspective. But if you're looking at 15 from the right or the left, then maybe 1's the foundation of 15, maybe 5's the foundation of 15. We didn't know that. We thought it was going to be divided or multiplied. So that's really interesting. So if you're looking at it, if it's just 5 and you're looking at it from the left or right, does that mean that 5 is the foundation of 5? And what about if you're looking at it from front and back? Does that mean it's just 5 as well, or it adds up to 6? So front and back would be 5 minus 1 and 5 plus 1. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, all of this is all coming to us slowly. I know some of us know, but we're not meant to know. But this is how the axes of the body, the axes X, Y, and Z, and minus X, minus Y, minus Z, if you put that into the center of each chakra sphere, chakra means a wheel, but a wheel is kind of 2D, whereas a sphere, a ball of spinning energy. And if on that ball one puts an X, Y, and Z axes of the positive and the minus, that's how we've been dancing and understanding with our breath and the out and the in, combining our yoga experience and our yoga practice with our teacher training, our Iyengar yoga, with all the philosophy of yoga that we've learned, and it's all just come together. And now we're attempting to find the words and put it all together, vocalizing it out loud within our ability, which has been really challenging because what's within our ability is in a format that's generally not accepted as professional, as whatever, as what people do. But from our poetry videos, which is just the poet one left at the moment, and what's been written on them, what we're doing is leading by example, inspiring others to lead their full, unique, authentic, integral potential. So therefore, that's us doing it in the moment. This is what we're doing. And we're mainly in our younger ones, but you can't tell that as such because we're talking. it's an adult normal tone talk, because that's what uses up least energy for us, and that's what's most comfortable for us. And also when we do this, certain people will come in, they'll make a judgment or assumption it won't be suitable to them, so then they'll leave again, which is perfect, because they're the energies that aren't in our best interest coming in. So the only people that are going to stay watching this when it's live is the people whose energies are in the best interest for us. First, humanity and Mother Gaia, and consciousness, God. We don't use God, not because we have any negative attachments to that anymore as such. There might be still a few underlying ones, but that's mostly gone. It's misunderstanding word. Mind you, consciousness is maybe a bit of a misunderstanding word to a lot of people as well, but consciousness, I would say, is more of a misunderstanding word because of a lack from the mental body, whereas God is a misunderstood more from an emotional body. So that's interesting hearing us say that. So some might say, we're channeling energy, we're speaking in the moment. So when we hear ourselves say stuff, we don't know really what's going to go on. Being in the bath and doing everything they've just done beforehand brings us into a really deep state of presence and a meditative state, so that everything flows clearly. And we actually did just put on our body what we get put on Joe's rash yesterday. So we got coconut oil and mixed it up with goat's kefir, but we went one step further and then mixed it up with some of this mouthwash as well, because it's about aligning our bodies and aligning our internal and external reality. It's also about aligning our top and bottom of our body, because the top and bottom of our body was twisted at almost a 45-degree angle or 40-degree angle from our horse accident when we were 15. So that's interesting that we're starting at 15 time now, because we're dancing with those dynamics. 15 is also the number of the Capricorn card, the devil, which links us into the fifth limb of yoga, pratyahara, which is freedom from the senses of the desires, which is linked you into number 5. And number 5 is house 5, is the collective house, the collective natal chart of the astrological signs as you go through. Leo's in house 5, but for us, our house 5 is Capricorn. So all of this for us is connecting and linking over to heal all these traumas, because the energetics of the person that sexually abused us was a Capricorn. Capricorn rules the skin, the bones, and the knees. So all of this gets put in because we're autistic and we dance better with numbers. This all goes into the number format, and this is releasing those traumas in our unique way rather than the conventional way, because the conventional way is actually kind of giving us a lot of information, but also caused us more damage. Quito por mano. Yeah, I don't know. We're dissociating now. We don't know what we're doing. We've talked about a lot. Quite interesting that, what we learned the other day as well is we get very uncomfortable. Just, it sounds like we spout the same story over and over again, and it sounds like it's in victim consciousness. But of course, this is us growing up all the victim consciousness stuff, but we have to get aware of it. The bluebirds, the birds on the thingy. Hello, buddy. We like you. Watching you. Thank you. Fat balls. I love fat balls. And the birds inside on that one eat the fat balls. So yeah, this is us doing the preparation and the strategizing for this course starting in June. And I suppose we're navigating them both a bit together, and we've done all the prep for the moon course starting tonight over the last 2-3 videos. And so this then will go down because it's on the 24th. So then next month, I don't know, I doubt we'll have any more lives, but then I say that and our conscious mind is normally not so accurate. But after this, I think I thought we were going to do a bit of writing pen on paper, but in this moment, it doesn't feel like we are. We're just going to bookmark the relevant pages in the books that we've got to start tonight on the Pisces moon, the Pisces sun, Sagittarius moon, drawing those energetics for the thighs, the internal thighs and the hips, while staying grounded on the external feet, while bringing in knowledge. We're going to give ourselves our So in that we do hydrotherapy in the bath, and this has been going on since like 2015, even way before the ayahuasca journey. So it's not the ayahuasca journey that caused this for us. It's just us doing everything that we're doing that eventually got us to the state that we all needed to be in to reveal to ourselves that we had the DID, because we didn't know about it. But we couldn't do it on our own, and we needed the ayahuasca journey, Mother Ayahuasca, to help us. But because we've been so strict, because of who we are, autism's quite rigid. We also grew up in a strict family. And there's lots of other factors around fear, that we've been very strong with mind over matter, but we've also had to be strong with mind over matter. But thankful to Snowflake, who was born in America when we were 2 by the Native American Indians, she's had the heart. So we've been very strong in mind over matter that's been backed up with the heart. Now, I'm not sure quite what time that is. It sounded like it was Venus time that just came on, but I'm pretty sure Venus time came on when we're in the bath. So it's not going to be Venus time for both things. We just looked up there, it's 25:55. But the time is 16:07, 4:07 p.m. So when we watch this back, if we can check the planetary hours times, please, one of us. And we were in the bath. We did set this when the 2 portal went off, so it would have been 14:02, 2:02, when that portal went off in the bath. Can we look up the planetary hours of that time too, which was Venus, because we were listening to the Venus talk and activation from alignment from Matias de Stefano. And plus, only today, which is the first time we have all our alarms going out throughout the day for the different 2 portals, 2 vibration portals. But for the first time, we did the reverse mirror 2 portal, which we're using the 24-hour code. So using the 24-hour code, 14 is 2 o'clock. So the portal starts at 14:02, 2:02 p.m. The mirror closing the reverse mirror, because a mirror is my left arm now is mirroring your right arm. So a mirror is the reverse of the body part. So if it's a reverse mirror, it's a reverse. So therefore your left would be mirroring my left. So therefore a mirror portal is 14:41, whereas a reverse mirror is 14:14. So the alarm went off at 2:02 p.m, 14:02. The reverse mirror portal closing went off at 14:14, and the mirror portal closing goes off at 14:41. But today is the first time we've done that, and all of that happened in the bath first of all, because we go deep in the bath, and water has been a very deep thing for us, especially with the number 10, and we almost drowned when we were 10, but we've always been swimming and surfed. Different ones of us have swam and surfed and all kinds of things, and wakeboard. Not ever very good at any of it, because we've never had our center of balance, and that's what we're achieving throughout this process on this live reality healing documentary that we're doing, inviting. And if you're here, you've jumped on our energetic train, no matter how brief. So the 14 is important, because like we said, 14 is the number of Sagittarius. It's the temperance card, is the card of Sagittarius. Temperance is traditionally ruled by Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is the card of the Wheel of Fortune, which is number 10, and we were just talking about number 10, and it's the card of Thursday, because you've got it's in Spanish as well, and I think it stems back to the Latin words. It's jeudi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi. So jeudi, it's kind of like Jupiter. They're linked or something. We can't tell you in this moment exactly what it is, but you can do, this is where you do your own research and make your own connections. So the traditional ruler of Pisces is Jupiter. The modern ruler of Pisces is Neptune. Jupiter and Neptune are conjunct at the moment. So Pisces and Sagittarius are both ruled traditionally by Jupiter, the Wheel of Fortune, which is the card of Thursday, and that's what day it is today. 14 also adds up to number 5, which connects you into Leo again, the house of Leo. And we're between the Leo full moon and the Pisces new moon. So automatically there, we've given you information to link in for number 14, number 5, 14 Sagittarius, the thighs and the hips, 5 Leo, the heart and the upper back, with Pisces, which is actually the moon card number 18, which equals 9, and that's the closing off of the Tesla code. So when we're watching this back, this is when we'll probably get out the bit of paper, and the little ones will listen to what we're saying and jot this all down so that we can make those connections. And the energy at the moment is rising, but when we start this course, is the energy will be going down. But because we'll have already done and completed and had a few months or a couple of months gap between the Pisces sun and all the moon astrological moon signs, we'll have then had time to integrate that before we start this course, so that we're all grounded on our internal body before we start bringing the energies down again. That would then link us into next year. And this is all, we've done loads of the energetic foundation preparations, because that's what's been happening in the last half decade since the seizures. More consciously aware, more co-consciously aware since the psych ward 2 years ago. And since October, end of October, start of November, really, really on it so with our diet and our bacteria, hence putting the goat's kefir and what we're having internally now with our mouthwash on the outside of our skin with the coconut oil, because then we've got the frequencies of all that stuff being absorbed through our skin, and our skin absorbs about 60% of stuff, but we've all had it internally as well. So therefore you've got the internal going out and the external going out, and the frequencies are the same, and it's with that live bacteria. Because we are big globules of live bacterial systems at the end of the day, because it's, from our experience, it's the live bacterial systems that make up the cellular community systems that then build the structure of the body. With our moon water, so this is the moon water of the last Leo full moon and the last Aquarius new moon. So again, it feels like we're not really structuring this, but just in us talking and just being in the flow, we're channeling and we are structuring this. It started at 1541, so that all makes sense, with 15 being the devil card in Capricorn, Capricorn ruling the skin. We're just talking about the skin, because if you look at the SCOBY on a jeûne kombucha, we do jeûne because jeûne is honey, not sugar, and we use honey that's all raw, unpasteurized, non-filtered, non-heated, all, you know, all that stuff. And it's from Europe, so it's I think it's from some small companies in Europe, in Bulgaria and stuff. So the main things that we are going to be using is the symbols and the numbers. Maybe a bit of color, but we're sticking simple. We're attempting to stick simple. So it's the maybe by the time we get to this course, because we've done everything else to start with, we'll be on to color, symbols and numbers. But at the moment, we're just working with numbers and symbols, and the symbols we're working with is the moon and the sun. Because this is the ShintoSEYE ISES interactive source energy series preparation and strategy. And so the symbols are the sun and the moon, and there's two more, Leo and Pisces. It's the symbols for them. Sun being the external body and the masculine, the active, the doing. Moon being the internal body, the feminine, the receptive. Then the other two symbols are Leo, the sign for Leo, and Pisces, the two curves and the symbol sign for Pisces. It's the Leo full moon, which is just a circle that's white and lit up, rather than the Pisces new moon, which is a circle that's all dark, resulting in the new moon. We're personally, our lunar cycle is born on the dark moon, the day before the new moon. And the new moon, I don't know if you can almost start, I don't know if the new moon is when you can actually start seeing a little bit of light, tiny light crescents come in or not. But it's not on that day. It's normally 2 to 3 days. So by the end of those 2 or 3 days, I'm sure you'll be able to just see a bit of light coming in on that new moon. So the dark moon is the new moon, because the end is the start and the start is the end. So therefore the dark moon and the new moon is the black circle that's black, the void. the black hole, the center of equilibrium, the vacuum of equilibrium, that center point of balance on the x, y, x minus x, y minus x, z minus z. Now, x minus x, y minus y, z minus z, it's this point in the middle where all of those three cross. Now, you actually have a chakra at every joint, so you can put an axis like that at every joint, but you've got your 7 main energetic centers in the body, the colors red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, colors of the rainbow. If you're going by Hindu philosophy, but then they can be split into 3 axes of the Chinese medicine system, of your dantian, your lower dantian, and your upper dantian. And then there's the whole, when we become balanced and reach a state of harmony and alignment and synchronicity and harmonious resonance between our internal reality and our external reality, between the bottom half of our body and the top half of our body, between our front and back. This is all your different planes in yoga. If you're going to talk about the physical body, the medial plane, the sagittarial plane, Sagittarius again, etc. Then there is that one center point of axes, of that wholeness, of the torus, of the toroidal flow. So those are the symbols we'll be working with. The sun is a circle with a dot in it. So a Leo moon is the Leo symbol with a circle that's white. A Pisces moon is the Pisces symbol with a circle that's black. And then the moon and the sun we've done as a crescent moon, and the sun is a circle with a dot in it. And then we're going to work with numbers. So the language of the subconscious, the language of the superconscious, the language of the universe, as we call it, the multiverse, is present tense, no past or future. So this is normally what's related to the abstract, creative right brain hemisphere. In current conceptualization understanding in the systems, and the left brain is the future and the far past. It's the logic. It's what enables us to be able to integrate in a collective agreement, external reality, and function with everyone else to set times and agreements on times of days for stuff, etc. But the collective society at the moment really tends to live in a very strict linear system, whereas the seasons don't. So if we were to be in more of a circular system routine that was in harmony with the seasons, rather than a job being conventionally understood of 9 to 5 throughout the whole year, there would be a job that in summer maybe goes on from 9 to 5 in summer, but in winter it's 10 to 4. So you're actually doing a 6-hour day with a lunch break and breaks in winter, a shorter working day, and a longer working day in summer. It might even be like 8:30 to 5:30. So there's a 2-hour gap type thing there, or a 3-hour gap, which makes more sense because that's the 369 is the Tesla code. So yeah, 8:30 to 5:30 and 10 to 4 for us. Tito Pomomo, Etainana, Tito Paino, okay, so we love that when we get these connections, because that means we've got out exactly what we need to get out, because we've been attempting to understand and figure out how we need to function our self-employment day to work in harmony with the seasons and work in harmony with us. We won't be doing the 8:30 to 5:30 because of our Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, our fibromyalgia, our POTS, because of all our mental and physical issues. So if the average day is an 8-hour working day, for instance, we want to be doing a 4 to 6 hour working day. So if we're on a weekday, it will be a weekday, not as in a Monday to Friday, but a weekday as in physically weak. We're in our younger alternate personalities, we can't do much. Then we would do a 4-hour day. But if we've got a good energy, then we would do a 6-hour day. But we'd take out the lunch hour, whereas an average person would do an 8-hour day or longer. Which, I mean, we used to work 12 hours days. So we used to work at least 2. We've always worked at least 2 jobs, if not 3 jobs. So for us to now follow this routine is very fair for us, because we have worked exceptionally hard our whole life. So then in winter, you'd end up doing a 4-hour day or a 2-hour day if we're really weak. And then if things are really bad, then we just have it off and we wouldn't do anything. And then if things are really good, or if there's something that we've really got to set our mind to, we will cram in for a short amount of time only if we can, because we always put our body first now, but we will cram in a short amount of time stuff that we need to, like we did with the poems, to catch up and to get everything done with the poems, so that we could have 10 days off over New Year and the start of January, which actually ended up turning it into being a whole month. But at least we were doing so much better than what we have done on time management and the rest of it, because time management is pretty non-existent when we're stuck in a present state, when we're dancing in a present state, but it's actually PTSD triggers of our past coming up, or always anxious and worried about the future of how we're going to earn money. It just causes chaos and there's no doing nothing. And so that's why we're doing this, because this is what we have to do. This is what we're surrendering to, these present moment to moment states, whether that's a past present, a present past, a present future, or future present. They're all different areas on the spectrum, but we're attempting to get down to that present. But we're never going to be able to get down to that present state until we clear out all those past trauma frequencies in the body, which is happening, because we can't create our future if it's been completely defined by our past and we're stuck on a loop. So when one's present moment actions are stuck on a loop of being defined by their past actions because of PTSD, then there's no looking around unless we go in and out of these throughout the day. So we are always going in and out of these states, and it used to be on very long cycles until we become aware of it at the seizures, and then those long cycles that used to last a year or 2 years or 5 years, etc., that all overlapped. It's like the planets. Mercury rotates around the sun a lot quicker, so Mercury has 3 or 4 years a year where compared to 1 Earth year. That's why everything in the multiverse, the universe, is a ratio between one thing and another. But if you get the outer planets like Jupiter or something, that takes like 80 years or something. We don't know any of this. This is all the stuff that we want to learn. But I know the ones of us that watch this back are very judgmental. That's not right. That's wrong. And they're in that mindset, which is just the mindset we're attempting and learning to get out of. So I've talked about the days. Currently in today on energetics, according to the Patch Tarot wisdom reel from Spirit Science and Jordan River, we are on the 24th. So we're in the King of Cups energies on the outside. We're on the Ace of Swords and Princess of Swords in the inside. Pisces, which is the moon card and mutable, but we're under Saturn energies and the 8 of Cups energies, and that's until the 28th. So on March the 1st, we're still on the King of Cups, we go into the 9 of Cups, and we go into Jupiter. So that would be perfect then for those 10 days, because it's going to be Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces. So going back to the moon and the sun symbol, because we're working with numbers, because that's the language, the present tense, numbers, colors, patterns, symbols, frequency expressed through the senses, is the fundamental language of source energy, of God, of the universe, of the multiverse, of the subconscious, of the superconscious. Bringing in words, that's not fundamental. It's not the foundation. It comes up here. We've got a processing language disorder. We're not good with words. We're not good with all those unspoken rules of socializing and stuff about autism. So that's all just been thrown out the window, and this is what we're learning. Hence why we love it that there's no watchers right now. Hence why we love it when people come in and go out, because we are starting to understand the energies more and more, and understand that when these perceived hiccups, oh no, we're not starting at 3:30 when we said we were, because the internet wouldn't work. But then we turned everything off, let it sit down and quieten down, plugged it all back in, and then it worked. And we came on at 15:14. The number spoke to us, and we knew exactly why that was the time that we were meant to start this. Because this is our personal clarity of the language of source energy, which we know exceptionally well, but we know exceptionally well from our younger alternate personalities, which don't use language, but hence now to be taken really deep and really experience true energetics of unconditional love from a human being, not just animals and nature, was baby Joe. And our sister, but our sister isn't as pure as baby Joe, because she's not just been born, she's an adult, and that's not a derogatory terminology, that's just how it is. And most adults have experienced some form of trauma as well. I mean, she's my ex-stepsister, so there's the divorce trauma. We were 5 when they got married, her mum and our father got married, and we were 8 when they split up, so she would have been 2 and 5. So that's all those divorce trauma frequencies from a young, very crucial young age programming. So yes, thank you, baby Joe. So going into the language of numbers, the numbers are fab. And none of this is planned as such. It's just intuition. Like, we do what we do when we do it, and that's what happens. And this is what's been happening since the altars started the videos in the psych ward 2 years ago, of which we've then had to navigate through, because some are wanting to do it all the time. But then it's like, well, we need to learn how to keep on top of the house as well. It can't just be videos and it can't just be house. But then we have to navigate the adult ones of us. The little ones really want to be recognized, really want to be seen, really want to be acknowledged and heard. But the adult ones of us are really uncomfortable with those feelings. And when that happens, so when we do get heard and seen and acknowledged and recognized, it brings us into a deep heart connection, which also brings us into a younger state again, which we're learning to accept. And no, we've learned to accept. We're really good with us all on our own. But with our sister here yesterday, we're still not very comfortable, because it's not familiar and not experienced with allowing all of us to be seen and heard with other people. And of course, it depends on the people. So strangers are less important than people that matter to us. She matters to us hugely, which is why we've been able to really make these connections and these observation skills with her yesterday when we were there. There's lots, because we've been doing this observation skills for so long. Because the hardest thing isn't waking up to the denials. The hardest thing is becoming aware, being aware in the moment while we do something that we don't like about ourselves, whether it's to ourselves, whether it's to someone else, whatever it is, and to stay awake through that process, which is really long for some things and really short for others, really long for some people, really short for others, and there'll be a mix and match of it all in one. That's the hardest thing, and most people can't cope with that, and so most people choose to go back to sleep, or choose to suppress and repress, ignore, veil over with food, sex, drugs, rock and roll, etc., video games, YouTube, any kind of form of distraction. But we've managed to and what some might call addiction, but for us there's nothing different on the fundamental energetics of a drug addict or a heroin addict to a top company CEO that's addicted to power, greed and money. They're the same fundamental energetics. It's just a different narrative, a different categorization, a different word or language used. So going to the numbers, what we work with is we've chosen 15 o'clock, but because we've started today at 15:41, I reckon that's a message to us, but I won't know that until the younger ones or some other ones confirm it. That rather than doing mind you, we love these numbers, but maybe these numbers are just for us now here. I don't know. We're obviously going to have a look at our app where we get this from, look at the numbers of 15, 15:14, 15:41, look at the numbers of the degree and the minutes that come out, and we'll and that will happen. But because we won't be talking when we do this, we'll be quiet, rather than the energy coming out through the vocal cords and making those amazing clarity connections. The energies will come out through the sensory body physically in a tactile sense of touch, or if our tongue's going around our mouth and the gap, or the nose, or whatever's going on, we'll get the sensory smell and taste, because we can taste the internal chemical system of the body. And smell, we don't smell the internal system of the body or the external, because we're still working on all that. Although we did do a different style of neti today, which is the snorting in the water. But we can feel the temperature differently. So one may think the mouth is open and therefore we get one big channel of air and oxygen going in our mouth. But what we experience is like a massive electric cable that has loads of electrical cables in it, all separated. And then in those all those electrical cables in the big one sheath is lots more little ones. So we feel the temperature of the oxygen going in our nostrils in different ones of those holes and in our mouth. So it's like, you may think that the ocean is one big body of water. Yes, it is one big body of water, but it doesn't all act the same. You have all your hot and cold water currents that act and do different channels depending on different things. And the mouth and the nose is the same, but those channels depend on the meridians and the different access places of the body. But the body goes down to such a micro subatomic level. If you're talking energy, it's not even measurable in physics and atomic stuff that's going on. Although they have got down to the God particle, which is the God particle smaller than the quark, or is the quark smaller than, I don't know, that's not us, but yeah, there's all of the ones in us that do it. So yeah, that got sidetracked, didn't it? Oh yeah, because we're figuring out and just learned to figure out the numbers of which will be the best numbers on the day. But we're going to get this over with soon. It's 50, 22. So 22 is the number of intuition. 5 is the number of change, which brings freedom. Change is the only constant in the world, because the physical, tangible, seen world is made up of atoms, and atoms are always vibrating. Vibrating means vibration. Vibration is movement. So if the atoms are always moving, there's always change, and that's the constant. So therefore, we have to learn to become familiar with change being the constant, and to dynamically flow with that. But like the ocean again, if we're exhausted and we're in the ocean and we start swimming against the current to get back to land because we get caught out on a tidal drift out to the ocean, one will exhaust themselves and drown. Or you can go with the flow, which is great. You get a chance to rest and regenerate. You can like tread water, but still be moving with the flow of the current, or you can like lay on your back until you kind of center yourself. But if you keep going with that flow, you'll get taken so far away from land that you'll end up dying. So either way, you end up dying. One's just a bit quicker than the other. Now, most people fear death at the fundamental of everything, whereas for us, we've always feared life. So this is where the dynamics of Biatoponono pai tito ta tito topomo no tito pono wow wow Baito. Thanks, Worm. Well done. Gets us so much. We love it. He's so beautiful, though. That's Worm again. Which Worm backwards is Meow. It's one of the next. It's the boy kitten. There's a brother and sister next door kitten, and it's the boy one of that. Pupsy. It's Pup. She did actually let us stroke her the other day, and she was spying on us the other day. You just talk to him and listens. Like he sneaks in sometimes, you see, to eat Zendaya's food, but he's not allowed. So yeah. So the current, so the death thing, there's loads of stuff that's reversed. Tweetop homo. I. Two. Tay. So I reckon we had to move our positioning a little bit then, if everything's in synchronization. So consciousness was getting him to sneak in and get the food, but he didn't want to, but then he's like instinctually wanted to, until we played that little game. So yeah, so the idea we came to us earlier is that one floats with the current and moves with the current until one's regenerated, regenerated, so they're not so exhausted, they're not so tired, done their breath work, laying on their back, center themselves, and then take about a 22-degree angle to either a 22-degree angle clockwise or anti-clockwise. So if you're going to go 22 angle one way, then the other way is 360 minus 22, which is 318. So that you end up at land and not going completely out to sea. So the numbers here at the moment that we've put down for 3 p.m. today is the moon is at 14 degrees, the number of Sagittarius. And also the importance of the 14 and the 41 with our portals and the 2 portal and the 2 vibration is 14 is the number of moderation. 41 is the number of self-discipline. We need self-discipline to stay with moderation, but to know that, yes, let's have some man-made processed creamy cakes and sweets and crispers and chocolates and the rest of it, but let's not do it more than 22% of the time. Let it be that 78% of the time is mostly all good. I mean, for us at the moment, we pretty much don't have anything because we're on this major healing thing, even down to no nightshade family vegetables, no potatoes or tomatoes or onions or garlics, because that stimulates the mind, no corn, because that's all causes inflammation. And for us to go through what we're going through on realigning the physical body, of which we're able to shift because of our Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, our hypermobility. Hence why you have to do all this talking, because it releases the stuff from the inside out, because the Adam's apple is to the intestines. And we put this cream on baby Joe's chin, and all of the chin around here, pretty sure is your intestines and your colon, ascending and descending, which is also really good while we're doing this, because we're in Pisces now, but we're in Pisces feet. That's still in the month of February. So because it's the month of February, you make the connections to Aquarius, and Aquarius is your calves and ankles. Now your shins, which are near your, I don't know, because your calf's the back of your leg, isn't it? So I don't know exactly how this all works, because this is what information we get from books. But the more we do this, the more we'll connect, the more we'll be able to go into meditative states without going into our really young little ones. And the more we'll be able to connect to our intuition. They'll grow up, we'll understand their language. They're the body, because our deepest little ones are organs that never grew up properly. We'll be able to communicate with them then properly, so that all the information that we've gathered from books, we can put to a side, and then we'll do our own thing. Go, okay, body, you tell us what's going on, because we've got such an acute, amazing communion and dialogue going on with our body. We just still don't know the language of it, and that's what all of this is about. So the moon's at 14 degrees, the moderation, the self-discipline, what we're on about. 78 is the number of spirituality, and 22 is the number of intuition, which is why those numbers come in. 78 also adds up to 15. So those numbers have come up today. 15 adds up to 6, which is the balance point of the Tesla code. The midpoint of the 3, the 6, the 9, which is the code for the unseen energetic world, the spiritual realms that some call. Whereas the other 6 numbers, 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, which is double the amount, you've got 3 on that side and 6 on that side, is the numbers of the seen, tangible, physical reality. So you have bridges. So the one bridge on this side is the 6, to bridge the unseen with the seen. We live at number 66. And then on the linear side, the bridges are number 2, which is balance, because number 6 is balance, unconditional love. And it's upside down 9, which is completion in the physical reality, the end of the Tesla code. The 2 and the 8 are both balance. 8's balance because it's 2 circles together, 2, and it's number of manifestation. So you have this choices, but it's also the figure of 8 loops. You've got the figure of 8 loop through the body, and our birth given name vibration number is 8. So 8's one of our master guides, in from one format, wording, language, whatever. 2 is the number of patience, balance, and choices. 8 is just made up of curves. So even though 8 is a left brain masculine, physical, tangible, seen reality number, it's made up of feminine energies because it's made up of only curves. Whereas a 2 is a balance between masculine and feminine energies because it's made up of curve and a line. And that's bringing us into actually all the healthy masculine energy that we've experienced has been masculine energy from female bodies or male bodies that are have more feminine energy in them. And that doesn't mean they're gay. Some have been gay and some haven't been gay. So the moon is at 14 degrees, 56. 14 adds up to 5. That's the Leo again. We're going from the Leo full moon into the Pisces new moon. And 56. 56 is that 5 number again. 6, we've talked about 6. And together they equal 11. So 11 is the master number of individuality. And this is what this is also about. It's us showing us authentically our individuality. It's the first builder number. It's the number of service. It's the number of the central channel going down. And it's made of two masculine numbers, two lines, two ones, but together they equal 2, which is a balance between the masculine and the feminine. So there's all these multi-layered, multi-tiers connections between the numbers and the symbols, between numbers being symbols and not numbers, etc. So then we get onto the sun. The 14 in the moon, 14 degrees by the moon, is second tier 5. First tier 5 is 5, second tier 5 is 14. The sun is first tier 5, so the sun is at 5 degrees. So we've got that alignment and that balance between sun and moon in the numerology, even though one's second tier and one's first tier. 14, actually, for us to release those traumas is the first age we remember of wanting to commit suicide. I don't know what 5 links in. Oh, yes, I do. But 5 is the end of the kind of the incest sexual abuse. But 5 was the age that our sister was when the parents separated. They didn't actually get divorced, but they separated and got divorced years later. They just didn't get divorced for money reasons, and then time went by. And 5 again is that the house for Leo. 5 is the Capricorn for us. Our Leo is in house 12. 12 is for Pisces. So for us, we are connecting all these energies. And then Pisces is also our Mercury, which is expression or the brain mind, from Western astrology. But if we go into our Vedic astrology, then Pisces is Venus. Venus is our heart, which is normally like Aries in Western astrology, but it's also the feet. The Pisces is bridging lots of stuff. The numbers are bridging lots of stuff. We're clearing out loads of our traumas because these are the final layers of us clearing out our traumas. If you're watching this and you have any trauma frequencies that link into this, yours will start being catalyzed to be cleared out as well, subconsciously or consciously. It doesn't matter which, it's whatever happens for you. For us, what we've learned, if it's conscious, it's kind of quicker, but it can also be harder for the mental mind as well, and the belief systems, which can also then cause actually more chaos. So the collection, if you stay heart-centered, your heart will know what to do for it to be subconscious or conscious, basically. And the main thing is to stay in the body, listen to the heart and listen to the body. And the minutes, I think it's minutes, I think it goes like degrees and then minutes. So the moon's 14 degrees 56 minutes, which is 5 14 11, which is 5 2, which equals 7. We won't go on to that. We're going to go on to the contraction, expansion being addition, subtraction. No, we're going to go on to contraction and expansion being subtraction and addition, and infinite contraction, which is division, and infinite expansion, which is multiplication. But depending on the number that comes out, whether it's a whole integer, depends whether it's infinite expansion and infinite contraction with or without boundaries. And again, EDS is hypermobility, which is to do with not having functioning boundaries properly, which can also go into the emotional body of people when they get into continued abusive relationships, or that continued pattern of victim rescuer or narcissist empath, whatever language one wants to use. But at the end of the day, everyone has everything. Everyone has a victim, a perpetrator, a rescuer energetics in them. Everyone has a narcissist and an empath in them. It's just whether these are balanced and are in moderation or not. Hence, if one's dominant personality is a rescuer, but they grew up with maybe a bullying sister and a bullying mum, if they then end up going in the energies of someone that's have got a victim as their internal deep energies, because they're a victim as their early child, but they don't need rescuing, then there'll be a counterbalance of that. And then this person will switch between the rescuer and the bully. Well, that one's switching between the victim and the rescuer of themselves, I suppose. But basically, whatever one is, the other one will be on this drama triangle until we realize that we can get out of and transcend the drama triangle. And when we're in the drama triangle, we're in this constant gameplay or dance or fight for energy from the other people, winning the fight, winning the competition. But when we realize that we can supply ourselves with this infinite energy from above or from below, or from the collective unconscious, then we've got infinite energy to give away, which is what I think when they say your cup's overflowing, I think that's what it's to do with. But we have to intentionally give that energy away, and I think that's what a lot of our altars have been doing by doing a lot of these. So there's so many layers to why we've been doing the channels and the videos and what we're doing. I don't even know it all, but everything that we're going through is bringing it into more coherence, into more organization, and bringing it all together. And as that happens in our house and our garden and our laptop with storage and memory, as with these videos, and what we do with our personal ShintoSEYE practice in our body and our diet and everything else, it's all coming together, because all these things relate to different energetic centers in the body, or the body, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, or whatever that is out there, or the feng shui of the house, the bedroom being place where one's most vulnerable, therefore that would be the root chakra, the sense of survival, shelter, basic shelter, food and warmth needs. So going on to the sun is 5 degrees. We talked about that. It's 5 degrees 58 minutes. So again, we've got 14 degrees 56 and we've got 5 degrees 58. So they're both in their 50s, but one's 56 and one's 58. What did we say earlier about the bridge? 6 is the bridge between the unseen, non-tangible, and the seen, tangible, from the spiritual energy, the unseen energy, whereas 8 is the bridge from the seen, tangible world into the spiritual. So you've got that bridge, that connecting thing, and all of this is for the new neurons that are firing together, wire together, but one has to keep continuing pruning so that only the ones that are needed that are kept, and that happens in sleep and dream time, but it also happens for if someone does gardening or prunes the plants, etc. And then one has to embody all this knowledge, not just knowledge from the mind, but knowledge from experience in body, physical body and movement and dance, knowledge from experience in breath and utilizing the breath, because disease, misalignment, it all comes down to breath and being able to breathe or not. And whether we're breathing and using all thirds of our lung capacity, and all of our nasal thing and our head, which the majority of people don't. And you can tell from the alignment of teeth and the jaw, etc. Yeah, we're not going to start talking about the other tarot readers that got doing stuff to their hair and their teeth and everything, but all of us that watch these tarot readers are doing certain things that relate to their hair, their teeth, their facial hair, etc. And when one of them gets a teeth thing out, it's going to be really influential for us, because the ones in us that speak in sonic, the ones of us that speak in just the sensory sound, are getting so much information from their electromagnetic fields on their teeth body, on their alignment and the rest of it. And that's then how we are aligning themselves, because our younger ones think that we're going to grow back our own teeth and stuff. And I actually am starting to believe them now as well, whereas before I didn't. I couldn't grasp any of that. So the 8, 58 minutes, 56 adds up to 11, 58. Oh, by the way, one of the main things that we've learned, the importance of the connection of the 6 and the 8, is the videos that our little ones have done on our liquid minerals, and how 3 is half of 8 in a creative, abstract way and visually, but 3 is half of 6 logically. So 58 equals 13, and 13 is the complex stability number of the feminine energies in the seen world, whereas 12 is the complex stability number of the masculine energies in the seen world. The masculine, that's the most dominant though. We all live in a masculine society of the baker's dozen, which is 12. We work on the 12-hour clock or the 24-hour clock. So 11 is the foundation from 12 from one perspective, but if someone's upside down, then 13 is the foundation of 12 from the other perspective. Just got to put this in post. Thank you. New picture. Thank you. Yeah. Bye. Tita Pomomo, shall we do a box opening on here? Tita Popopo, Ritana. Yeah, we want to do a box opening. We've got to do our second. We've done one before, but we want to do listen to your gut, but they want to do a box opening for that video, not a live one. I suppose it could be live. No, because this quality is TV. The quality of the screen's not very good on the live, but we're opening this because it's a book, and I think it might be a book on astrology, and I think it might be a book on astrology, and they like the pictures of the patterns and the cycles of the planets. We've just got planets in youth, which is really good for the psychotherapy. We've got the planets in the cosmos, psychotherapy or psychology of the cosmos and the planets, and then we've got planets in youth, and I think this is the patterns of the cycle. So therefore it's bringing in our mental body, it's bringing our little ones, and it's bringing in our autism. But so I think we are going to do that, but I think we'll do it on the phone because it's better video quality, and then we can actually do it and get it sent off. It's not got the picture on, like on the thingy, but yeah, planets in transits, but our little ones are disappointed because it had wavelengths of different colour rainbows on it. And it's life cycles for a living. So it's about the harmony, and the layout of it's like really good as well. And it's about the harmony and the cycles and the patterns of the planets and how that relates to us. So we're learning first-hand experience with the shamanistic point of view of actually being in nature. Well, we've done this for years. This is what we've done for years, but not in our conscious awareness like we've been doing it lately. So this will be the cosmos rather than the shamanic side, which is our mum, which is very deep in our blood DNA. Our father is from like Catholicism and Southern Ireland, so that brings in more of a spiritual form for the higher spirituality, which will bring in the cosmos and the planets. We just switched them because that book was like 10 times heavier than it was before. So that's how we know if you switch with the weakness and the strength of the body. But then for us, we bring in another side of spirituality. So I suppose that Catholicism and religion that we just talked about from our paternal side, connecting into God and religion, God, and so therefore the planets, we personally, from our own personal experience with our yoga practice and from our earth grid footstep of the world, from being to India and these places, is the Eastern higher realm spirituality. So rather than your God and your Western religions, you've got your Eastern religions and your thousands, I don't know, there might even be more than thousands of gods from the Hindus and thingies. And that brings us into the amazing book, Eastern Body, Western Mind. The Western's more focused in the mind, the Eastern is more focused in the body. Although that's shifting, the energies are shifting again. The Eastern world is becoming more into the mind and more into development of the country, and economics and etc., whereas the Western world is getting more into mindfulness and more into meditation. So we were talking about bridges. All of this comes from our book. So that's Inner Bridges, amazing book. Goodness knows how many times we've read that. That has been so influential. And then it's this one. We've got a lot of her books. That's the Eastern Body, Western Mind. I don't know if it's reversed or the right way round when we do that on there. So yeah, that's us. So 58 is the number 13, which is the number of moon cycles in a year. So we've got 12 months in a year for the masculine energies, but if we're in alignment with the seasons, it's 13. I love the fact we had those clarifications earlier. That's been a massive one that we've been attempting to dance with for ages. Now that we've danced with that and we understand that, hopefully our eating routine, because we tend to eat, so I suppose we have to put a spectrum of eating. We tend to eat after 10 and before 6 if possible. Not all the altars are in agreement of this, but we're getting a lot more consistent, because then that gives the body 6 to 10 that gives the body 16 hours where the digestive system isn't working, because our digestive system doesn't work, so it needs a lot of time off. See the complication and play of words, because that's just really confused me, because we've used working as in not activating, not having to do anything, but when our digestive system is working, it doesn't work the best anyway because of our IBS and the rest of it, and leaky gut syndrome and the rest of it. But we have all our psyllium husk, our rice bran, our chia seeds, because all of that is water-soluble fibre. So we spend the first few hours of the morning drinking a lot of our different liquids, our silajit, our lemon, honey, ginger and grated rinds, our green tea, our kombucha, because the more water we put in our body, the more we're able to flush out the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system clears out the toxins in the body. It's the toxins in the body that get expressed and released through the mind, as in negative thoughts, through the heart, as in deep, profound, painful emotions, through the physical chemical body, as in like maybe gas. So we've had sprouts of diarrhea this morning, actually, after yesterday meeting with those guys, which is great because it's flushing out the system. And through headaches, spots, skin rashes. So, but one can still be dehydrated even if they're drinking vast amounts of water. And that's because one's not getting enough soluble fiber in their body. So the soluble fiber, so you've got the 3 water states that are really common: ice, water or solid, water, which is liquid, and steam, which is gas. Now you have a 4th, and that's if one gives blood, there's a really rare type of blood that one can give. It's not a really rare type of blood. It's the type of blood that's not given as often. So it doesn't go into the blood group, I don't think, but it's the plasma state of blood. So I think if one wants to give their plasma blood, the conditions to give your plasma blood is a lot more strict because of the importance of it. So that 4th state, plasma, is what holds the water. So if you don't have enough of that water state in your body, which is a combination and integration and alchemization between the water elemental consciousness and the fire elemental consciousness, then the water that you're putting into your body can attach into that plasma globule state so that one doesn't become dehydrated. But if you don't have enough soluble fiber in your body, you can drink as much water as you like and still be dehydrated. So this is the importance of what we're eating for diet, to hold that water, because the water purifies our body, because water is the more conductive medium to conduct the energy and feel the energy. So if one isn't drinking enough water, or if one is drinking enough water but not eating enough, so fruit, it doesn't have to be things like rice bran and psyllium husk and chia seeds. It can be fruit, but not fruit juice. Fruit juice has had all that water soluble fiber taken out of it. And it's also that water soluble fiber, the fiber in the fruit, that helps the body release the GI and the calories at a slower state. So it's not that fruit's bad for you or glucose is bad for you, because if you're saying that's bad for you or that's good for you, it's getting stuck in the reality duality. There is stuff that is optimum for your personal makeup of your body in that moment and stuff that isn't. So with poor functioning bowels and digestive system, sometimes we need to have fruit juice, freshly squeezed orange juice, and fruit juice or green juice, because we need that hit of vitamins and nutrients, because our body isn't able to digest the food and get the nutrients. And this would then go into the meridian system. So the teeth, we're missing 2 teeth here, they're related to the duodenum. The duodenum, if we've said that right, is the starting point of the small intestines that has something to do with the chemical reactions and extracting nutrients out of the body. And it's your ascending colon and your descending colon that are to do with the fluids in the body. So all of this, all of this is what is our passion and gets us excited, and is the journey that's been taken. It's even so hard for us to say subconsciously, because we live in a limited society that understands the subconscious, the superconscious, and the conscious mind. We might not even understand the superconscious. The common ones, the subconscious and the conscious. But for us, with our alternate personalities, each personality has their own conscious, their own superconscious, and their own subconscious from a certain age of development. So therefore, they experience the world through their sensory systems through that age. The super conscious ones normally don't have the, I don't know, we're not even going to go there because we don't understand it enough yet in word format. Hence why we're doing what we're doing, and all of this is going to come together. And this is all the stuff that's been going on for years in preparation in the mind when we've not had access to our body. And now we're getting access to the body, but we don't have those connections to the mind, and we need to bring it to the higher state mind frequencies. So it's the lower, so the words is getting a bit much at the moment. We're switching lots. We're releasing a lot of trauma, because when we release a lot of trauma, our adrenaline rises. When our adrenaline rises, our mouth gets frothy. and we're getting emotional. So I think it's time for us to go. We've talked about how we're doing the system of this. So this is our personal clarity of the language of source energy. And this is the first one of 1 a month or 4 months preparation for us before we actually start series 1 in June, with the light after the summer solstice, with the energies going down with the sun and the daylight hours, but also with the energies going down in the 4th quarter of the moon. Tito Tomo, magician time! Tito! Tito! Fire! Fire! Upwards channels. Polarity therapy teach us this. Fire's the upward channels. Water, because rain comes down. And we just did a poem earlier on. Little Miss Dottie. Snowdrop time. And snowdrop time happened when we were in the bath, because we've had REM song 4 seasons in one day. Oh my God, we're all coming together, aren't we? This is insane. Calm down, please. Calm down. Malac, chill out, chillax. Can I take over for you? Yeah, to pour more. Yeah, you exhaust us. Okay, so the link we've left at the end of this poem that's scheduled for the 27th, I think, is Snowdrop Strength, which relates to the flowers. 4 seasons in one day used to happen a lot of New Zealand, because you'll get sun, rain, hot, cold, snow, hail in one day. So it's all the elemental consciousness. And we talked about Jordan River and this, and we did his meditation, which talked about elemental consciousness, but we didn't understand it then, but we understand it now. God, that's going back years. Yes, we're starting to really understand it. The us that are starting to understand it in this present moment are the ones that bridges the other ones that have understood it but haven't had the language or whatever to communicate. So the fire elemental consciousness, like the element of fire, travels upwards. Water, like rain, travels downwards. And when we're in the bath, in one modality medium of water, the fluid state, where atoms vibrate less quick than steam, gas, but faster than ice, solid. And it was the snowdrops, drops of solid water coming down. Not snow though, hail. And this is why all the poems make sense, because there's a beautiful poem called The Riddle. And it happens twice. We've done it in the daily poet book on our birth given name channel, Neve Deb Snowflake. But then it's also one of the other ones. I don't know if it's the nightly or the daily. It actually might be in all 3, but I don't think it is. But that's a good one for us to check, because if it is, it'll have the picture of the snowdrop flowers, I can imagine. But it talks about a riddle of the mother and the daughter, and we're healing the frequencies of our trauma and our mum's suicide, the frequencies of us and our suicide, the frequencies of other paternal traumas or family traumas, and becoming our healthy parent, our healthy mother. And we were talking earlier about the baby daffodils and the daffodils, and talking about baby Joe, our nephew through marriage, and our sister that came yesterday. So we're talking about the mother and the daughter, and it's a riddle because the mother starts from the ground and through the Titomo. Yeah, we used to change from channel 1, 2, and 4, didn't we? I don't know. No, 1, 3, and 4. We used to change between the channels when we watched the weather forecast, when we won a TV at 12. So linking in that connection. The weather, what happens with the weather when you've got rain evaporating the steam that creates the clouds that then rains or creates hail or what have you. Hail is what came down. And one of our videos was Snowdrop Strength, when we had a trauma episode stuck in the summer house, and it was hailing then, and then a snowdrop come out. It wasn't there the day before, or maybe it was and we didn't notice it. But we noticed it in that morning. It helped us shift. The hail catalyzed a shift in the body because we were sleeping in the summer house over one of the moons, full moon and new moon baths. And then the movement to the snowdrop happened, and we've got a little video on that. So, wow. we're linking so much together now, which is great, because if we're linking so much together, we're doing that on the altars, which means we're doing that in the body networks. And it feels amazing. It's effing hard work connecting to the heart and connecting to the body. And it's been really physically painful, but we've been able to manage the pain without anything else since we've managed our diet. But it's taken us ages to manage our diet, and we've managed that by being compassionate and gentle and patient and loving and grateful with all of us, understanding that whatever we need in the moment, we need in the moment, and to stop judging ourselves for being lazy, or to stop judging ourselves for this, because we're not. We always work exceptionally hard, if not too hard, and to push ourselves too much. And so unlike the majority of people, we have to rein it in, whereas most people have to rein it out. And that's the expansion and the contraction. Yeah. So that's us over. We've talked about it for a bit too long, but not as long as the other ones, about half the amount of time, 1 hour 25, 8, 9, 10. So now we're going to rest for a little bit, and we're going to look through our books to bookmark the pages for tonight, which will probably be all we do. And I can feel the ones in us going, oh, but we need to do more. We need to write more. We need to plan more. And then there's the other ones of going, but what have we newly learned? The hardest thing isn't waking up to one's denials. The hardest thing is to witness us go through, to be awake to the aspects of us that we don't like, because we're not able to be compassionate to them and non-judgmental to them and accepting of them, understanding that they're only doing whatever they're doing because they're coming with it from the experience that they're coming at it from, and their experiences could be horrible and dark and extreme, so therefore they're going to be in a lot of protecting modalities and tools. But in just accepting them as they are and going, okay, well, you don't want to do that, we don't need to do that, rah-de-rah, that's fine, because we know that they relate to our body. And so if that's part of our body, then that part of our body is tired and it needs a rest. Because we live in a fragmented society, continuing to fragment things and categorize things and give more and more mental labels and disorders, that's having a mirror reflection into our bodies and separating and fragmenting our physical body, our mental, our emotional, causing, we're getting too deep. Slow back, rein it in. So tonight we are just going to bookmark the pages. We're not 100% comfortable with that, but our thing is to show you our live reality thing of becoming more compassionate, more gentle, and more comfortable being seen and heard in all of our energetic states, in all of our alternate personalities, and to be strong in our sense of knowing who we are in each and every moment, because that's in our highest good. And I know from experience that if there's anyone in more need and more vulnerable than us in a certain moment, we will be what we need to be for them. And so we've done that our whole life, but now we need to be what we need to be for us, because no one else has ever been able to do that. And I think that applies to a lot of people. And so if we can do this for us and show this being us, then we can inspire people either through the words or the emotions or the visuals, but most importantly for us, through the electromagnetic field. So there is no misunderstanding and no miscommunication through words or triggers through emotions or visuals. There's just the electromagnetic information going through the fields to then give you your internal or external experiences through your subconscious, conscious or superconscious minds, involving other people or not, or nature or not, or animals or not, so that you best have the experience that you need to create the unconditionally loving, self-loving, self-grateful, compassionate, patient being to all of aspects of you that you so deserve, that we so deserve, that everything so deserves. Because when we have that harmonic, symbiotic, healthy, bouncy, relationship in our bacterial body, then every little cell in our body is happy. Every little cell in our body is well. Every little cell in our body is happy. Every little cell in our body is well. We're so glad every little cell in our body is happy and well. We're so glad every little cell in our body is happy and well. Every little cell in our body is happy. Every little cell in our body is well. Every little cell in our body is happy. Every little cell in our body is well. We're so glad every little cell in our body is happy and well. We're so glad every little cell in our body is happy and well. And the beautiful bouncy bacteria. Thank you.